in the UK. I'm delighted to be here today at IMX and welcome all of the participants who've been able to join us to give this UK market overview, just a top-down view of the big picture in the UK, how the market works and the current size and scope of that market for all of those wanting to do business with us here in London and all over the UK. The Association of Independent Music is the member organisation in the UK that looks after all of the independent music companies. We make up around 26% of the recorded music market in the UK, and our organisation represents and brings together a lot of the very famous, internationally renowned independent labels in the UK, as well as distributors, self-releasing artists, and other associated service companies. We often look at the music industry in the past through the lens of a very fragmented landscape with lots of different professionals working in silos on one particular aspect of artists' careers. So people like publishers, managers, labels, promotions, and live agents, all working very separately, and the artist really isolated in a sort of creative bubble. We all recognize that this is no longer the case, and the reality is that not only is the artist expected to do more, but also all of these professional roles have been reassembled in lots of different ways. And different businesses are offering them to artists in a whole sort of mixed bag of different options. That creates quite a complex landscape, but also one full of choice. At AIM, we're agnostic as to how these businesses are structured. And indeed, many self-releasing artists also join AIM. We like to think that we represent the entrepreneurs and the experts that deliver value-added services in music. We have the advantage of lots of the heavy lifting in music is done through digital and data and systems these days. And we have access to all sorts of powerful platforms that enable us to leverage our skills in music. But that human element is still so important. And that is where our entrepreneurs and artists thrive. As an organization, these are the sort of operational priorities that we really focus on. It's about innovating, making sure that not just technology, but also business models and approaches to the market are up to date and leading the world. It's about entrepreneurship, building businesses that are thriving in the digital environment, in the global, particularly streaming market, and figuring out how to connect entrepreneurs, business builders with the right structures, expertise, and particularly funding and finance that they're going to need to grow those businesses. Creativity is at the core of everything we do. And of course, down at the bottom, we have knowledge and opportunities that need to come together in order for people to be successful in music. The UK is currently the third biggest market in the world. We're one of only 3 net exporters of music, by which we mean that we export more music into overseas markets than we import overseas music into our market. As I said just now, 26% of the recorded market in the UK is independent. And that's really important. That shows the health and the diversity of different people active in the market and the level of opportunity in the UK market. The UK market is increasingly digital. We can see from the graph here on the left that the share of market of physical is decreasing year on year. However, it's important to point out that for niche and specialist music, the physical market remains a very important source of income, and particularly for independent music. We can see in the graph on the right the size and scale of retail sales in music. We can see that vinyl, for example, at £110 million is up over 13% in the last year, in spite of lockdown and all the challenges of COVID. Streaming market, as you would expect, is growing fast. Last year, 15.5% alone. AIM sits at the heart of a global network of connected independent music businesses and organizations that gives us huge strength. The organization Merlin, that is our independent licensing partner, allows even the smallest independents to access similar rates and deal terms to even the very biggest businesses in the global music market. That gives huge strength and power, especially to new entrepreneurs. AIM is the Association for Independent Music in the UK, and we sit as part of a network of other associations with umbrellas such as Impala, which represents the independent community through the whole of Europe, and then, of course, the worldwide independent network, looking at the strategic priorities and imperatives to the independent community on a global basis. In the UK, some of the key events and conferences, if you're looking to come and connect with the UK market, either to meet music executives or to look at showcase opportunities for artists, would be Sound City in Liverpool, things like Output in Belfast, and Wide Days up in Scotland. Of course, the Great Escape, you may well know, in Brighton, a very large showcase event. As AIM, we also host key business conferences in the UK, most notably AIM Connected, which is our high-level strategic business conference for entrepreneurs in music, covering all aspects of technology, business building, and of course, people in music. And AIM Sync, our global sync conference and marketplace, where we bring together several thousand experts in synchronization. That's the licensing of music into film, TV, games, and other media. And that conference is growing and growing every year. These are great ways to connect with experts and entrepreneurs in the UK if you're looking to come to our market. As an organization, AIM produces a series of guides and learning around how to build a business in music. Here are some examples. I just talked about the Sync conference. We produce actually a Sync guide that sets out how to be successful in that side of the market. Also a startup guide to music business, which is really a how to build a business in music. And Distribution Revolution. This is around the fact that the distribution landscape, particularly for digital distribution, has changed enormously over recent times. And this is a book that demystifies all the different types of services and expectations that you should have, how they work, the sort of costs. So again, if you're thinking of engaging in the market, these are some incredibly useful knowledge resources that you can have a look at and that could be helpful. The legal framework for music in the UK is, of course, based on copyright, and the UK is a common law jurisdiction. The sound recording or master rights last for 70 years from the date of release. On the publishing side, or the underlying song rights, endure for 70 years after the date of the death of the last author to pass away. So really those rights can be in existence for an extremely long time. It's important to note that the vast majority of rights and revenues in the UK are negotiated individually on a contract by contract basis rather than collectively. Where we do have collective rights in the UK, these are administered by PPL on the sound recording side. So that's a joint society that collects for both the rights holders, in other words, normally the record label or the self-releasing artist, and for performers, and that's both featured artists and non-featured artists, where they have remuneration rights in recordings. On the music publishing side, we have PRS for music, the Performing Rights Society, and MCPS, which is the society that collects the mechanical right in the UK. And again, those are both joint societies collecting for the publishers and for the songwriters. UK Music is an umbrella organisation that we have in the UK that unites all of the different stakeholders from the commercial music industry. The 10 directors of UK Music come from all the different constituent organisations of our sector. So PPL, PRS, AIM, of course, as well as the BPI, the Music Managers Forum, the Featured Artists Coalition, the Musicians Union, etc., etc. Every year they publish data on the whole of the industry that we find incredibly insightful and useful. So I thought I'd show you a few statistics from the 2020 report, as the 2021 report isn't around and available yet. We can see here that the UK music industry contributed £5.8 billion in gross value add to the UK economy. I mean, that's a significant number that's been growing for several years now. 2.9 billion of that GVA was generated in export revenue. And it's estimated that the music industry in the UK sustains 197,000 full-time jobs. We know that music tourism is a significant contributor to the UK economy and also live music events in general. You can see here music tourists spent £4.7 billion, and that nearly 50,000 jobs were sustained by music tourism alone. However, we're not unaware of the impact of COVID. It's been significant, particularly, of course, on the live side of the business. And we anticipate a significant drop in GVA, potentially up to 40%, I would say, over the last year. We'll see those numbers when the statistics are ready. Of course, primary losses would be in live and music tourism, although we note that streaming has grown significantly and retail remains relatively healthy. Actually, during the pandemic, we saw that particularly specialist retail, independent record stores in the UK experienced an uplift of online traffic, and vinyl and cassette sales surged in spite of the closure of the shops themselves. In fact, continued growth for vinyl saw 4.3 million albums or LPs sold during the course of the last year. That's the biggest number this century and shows 12 years of consistent growth. The downside of this, of course, is that vinyl lead times are becoming longer. It's harder and harder to find capacity to press up new vinyl. But I think overall, this has been a real success story for the independent music community, who tend to have fans who appreciate specialist music, special editions, and will buy physical product. The cassette sales is an unlikely renaissance, some say. Cassettes appear to be filling a really interesting gap in the market, where there are younger music fans who would like some kind of physical artifact to have a tangible sense of a connection with artists, but for whom vinyl is expensive and who don't really play vinyl as their primary source of listening to music. Cassettes at a much lower price point seem to be filling this gap, that to provide some kind of quirky physical artifact that isn't going to be played anyway, but that is inexpensive and kind of cool. We saw over 80,000 sold last year. It's the largest amount in 15 years. We will see over time whether this is just a novelty bubble or whether actually cassettes are reestablishing their place in the music market. To give you a sense of vinyl sales in the UK, this is a slightly older statistic from 2018, but I thought it would be helpful just to show you how vinyl breaks down by genre. We see obviously rock massively outstripping other genres, and there are subgenres within rock, particularly prog, where physical assets, physical pressings are still highly valued and highly sought after. But also, let's not overlook areas of music like dance, where vinyl still plays a significant role. I've just noticed that this slide, because it's out of date, it refers to urban music as a genre and a classification of that is now out of date. We no longer use that as a term in the UK to describe music. As well, for interest, we see that actually sales by nationality of artists will give you some insight into the appetite in the UK for international music. You can see that the USA dominates the UK market, outstripping in 2018 even homegrown artists from the UK. My instinct from my knowledge of the AIM community and slightly more up-to-date statistics is that there is a trend actually towards the UK public opening its mind towards international music. And we see actually some of the impact of streaming and access to music, more easy access to music from all over the world, has the effect of actually opening up tastes across genres, but also across lots of international language music. So we see music from South Korea and elsewhere in the world having a much more significant impact than this slide might suggest. And I think that's really good news for international partners that would like to export into the UK. We see more of an appetite for the British public to explore and experiment with a greater variety of music. The radio landscape in the UK is fairly consolidated. We have obviously the BBC, our public service broadcaster, and unlike in some other large territories, it's a nationwide broadcaster. I thought it would be worth just showing a little bit of data. This is from 2020 in terms of how a listenership breaks down. So you see actually the largest listenership in the UK is BBC Radio 2, which plays a broad variety of music, fairly middle of the road, some specialist shows. Radio 4 is a talk radio station, primarily a sort of news and current affairs radio station. And then Radio 1, the cutting edge kind of pop and what's in the chart station. You can see then that we have a strong representation from more specialist areas of music. And again, I think it's very positive that the radio landscape in the UK is open to new music and it's open to specialist music. It is possible, absolutely possible, to get music on the radio in the UK. It's not a closed shop. In terms of representation, a lot of analysis has been done recently, increasing analysis, and this will continue into the future, on representation in the industry and whether the industry is sufficiently reflecting the general population in the UK and, of course, the population of artists within the industry that we're here to represent. We can see that ethnicity diversity in the industry is increasing. However, it's important to note that ethnicity representation in the industry decreases at senior level, and this is something that the industry is working hard to address. Similarly, gender representation, you can see that we're nearly at 50-50, and this is something that the industry is working actively to address. We work hard alongside all the other members of UK Music and creating a more equitable and inclusive environment for the music industry in the UK. Notable examples I put here: Women in Control, She Said So, Rip It Up, the Power Up movement, and of course Key Change. We work actively with all of these and many other organisations to make sure that certainly from an aim point. Looking ahead, key themes in the UK market. The market in the UK overall is pretty concentrated. 75 or 74% of the market is owned or controlled by the three major labels. We're looking at making sure that pathways remain open for new entrants and new sources of capital. We see this at the lower end of the market in terms of new startups, but we also see really some quite significant businesses raising money from non-traditional sources and entering the music industry through the acquisition, particularly of heritage catalogues through various investment funds. We don't know yet what the impact of that will be for the long term, but we remain vigilant to ensure that there is a healthy and sustainable market for new artists and new entrepreneurs. That speaks a little bit to this idea of the creative tension between fragmentation and consolidation. On the one hand, big businesses are always seeking to make acquisitions, and that provides a pressure towards market consolidation. At the same time, at some point, that could lead to homogenization, a lack of choice for consumers, a lack of variation of music coming to market. So there's always this creative tension between fragmentation and consolidation. I mentioned before the expansion of consumer tastes in the UK. I think this is set to accelerate. I'm very excited by the idea that UK consumers' tastes are opening up. I think that speaks to a very exciting future and lots of creative opportunity for partners internationally as well as in the UK. And added to that, I think there are a definite sense that consumption habits continue to evolve. It's not just about going from CD to download to streaming and then stop. We're seeing a lot of innovative and new ways that consumers are listening to, engaging with and accessing music through multimedia platforms and all sorts of other immersive and impactful ways that will set to continue. And I think evolving consumption habits are going to open up opportunities, again, for creativity, for entrepreneurship, and for new artists, new styles of music going forward. So overall, in conclusion, I would say the UK market is strong, it's healthy, it's diverse, it is socially aware and working hard to improve its engagement and reflection of the wider environment in which we work. There is more work to do. I would say consumer habits are opening up. I would say that there is opportunity for business. I think that it's never been a better time to export into the UK, as well as to partner with UK businesses looking to export internationally. I hope this conference can be a part of that. I think it's an opportunity to make connections, to share knowledge, to learn, to come together and do business. So I wish you all well. I hope that helps in terms of demystifying the UK market. I'm available anytime if anyone would like to connect, seek advice, seek connections in the UK. We're here to help. We're here to help everybody in music do business better and do better business. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you soon.